The Walt Disney Company has a history in gaming. Well, a very long one. In fact, they were so invested in it that they made an incredible cult classic film in 1982. And you've probably seen it. It's called Tron. It was great. It's something that lives on and lived on to have a sequel and deserves a third film, but that's a video for another day. They went about forming the very first gaming company in 1988. It was called Walt Disney Computer Software. And their first forays into the space, well, they were not exactly great. They lacked a lot of polish and they just weren't well received. Really, their only successes in that space were the Lion King game and Aladdin. So nothing really made an impact. The company morphed through various iterations between in-house game productions and third-party licensure for a long time, eventually becoming Disney Interactive in 2007, and then in 2008 they became Disney Interactive Group because they rolled their internet stuff in on top of that. They went through some limited successes even in that sphere at that time. They had some limited successes at that time, around 2007, 2008 and onward, but they had just as many failures. In fact, they didn't land upon anything significant until they came up with Disney Infinity, which of course launched in 2013, and they killed off a couple years later in 2015. And by the time that had all shaken out, they lost a leader in their gaming sector. They just cashed in their chips and went home in 2016, which you can't blame them. But as much of, a tumultuous experience that was, at least for all those years, the trades and other industry analysts are suggesting, hey, Bob, get back into gaming. There's some ways. Let's take a look. Here we go. Hollywood doesn't know what to make of the new Bob. Well, not a lot of people do. Some trades like him, some trades don't. Some of them are driven by shadowy figures in the background. But he's also made some waves in the financial community as well. And with the leaked 3 pillars of the company memo that seem to buck the stakeholder trend, decisions since the memo have been somewhat uneven, at least from my observations, and they still really haven't indicated any change in a positive direction. And of course, you still have Reimagining Tomorrow trash that's circling the company in various forms, despite basically being told to stop doing it. At the same time, everyone knows Disney needs to pick it up. Well, almost everyone now realizes that streaming isn't going to do it, at least not on its own. And even with that, the theme park experience is, being intentionally destroyed in service of profit. And of course, there's also the looming potential failure of the Galactic Star Cruiser that just happens to be waiting in the wings. Numbers may be higher, but the word of mouth around the physical entertainment side has been incredibly negative across the board. So what is a CEO to do? Both Variety and Hollywood Reporter have an answer, Bob. Get back into gaming. At least that's what they're suggesting. And I say we take a look at these articles. First of all, from Variety, Dear Bob, here's the M&A move that will boost Disney. Interesting. So they're suggesting a merger and our acquisition. And I think more of an acquisition. I don't really think there's a company out there you would merge with, but it's their suggestion. I think acquisition's the way to go. They lean into the argument throughout this article that obviously streaming's not going to carry or win the day. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. But when we get down to this, we have the actual meat and potatoes of this particular letter to Bob. Let's face it, you're going to need to make a transformative move beyond Disney Plus to help get the company back on track. Lucky for you, there's an opportunity staring you in the face. The way to make your mark is reversing one of the few faults, of Iger's tenure. It's time for Disney to re-enter the gaming space with an acquisition of a publisher that is a great fit for the company. Of course, they go through everything that's recently happened with Microsoft and with Activision Blizzard deal that happened there. They talk about even the things that happened with Bethesda. But then they get into the conversation about the licensing with one of the largest studios that is left standing, which is Electronic Arts. And of course, because of its valuation, it's beyond the reach of the Disney company because, as they point out, $40 billion, which is the value of Electronic Arts, is well beyond the $16 billion that's, basically held in cash equivalents or restricted cash inside the Disney company. A war chest that has been up and down since the beginning of 2020. So Disney clearly missed out on an opportunity to acquire ZeniMedia, which of course is Bethesda, and that would have been something that would have been in their financial reach, which is interesting that that one already was taken off the table by Microsoft. This is getting strange. But they have a studio suggestion to the rescue, something that is priced not too high, not too low, but just right. Bandai Namco. That's right. Its business is strongest in its home turf of Japan, but Bandai Namco earns most of its revenue from its Bandai Namco Entertainment Publishing business. But it also earns a substantial revenue from selling toys, and similar to Disney, it ran its own arcade and parks business that drove a dent into revenue when the global crisis hit. Bandai Namco has since bounced back, merging its video game and toys business in the process, which was probably a really great move for them as they approach $2 million in revenue in Q3. So they're doing rather well. They also hold the rights and they own the anime studio Sunrise, which actually is responsible for IPs like Cowboy Bebop, which of course Netflix just absolutely destroyed. But hey, you can still rebuild from there, Disney. And as active as it is in Japan, Bandai Namco is trying to make larger strides into the Western market. Seems like a marriage made in heaven to me. So this suggestion is excellent, and they talk very positively about the Fast and the Furious game that came out in 2020. They talk about the open world RPG game Elden Ring in collaboration with From Software. Dark Souls, of course, I've suffered through myself and know that that's kind of an interesting and wonderful game. And they also have some critically acclaimed games that are going to be based on some stuff from George R.R. Martin. They even land upon a suggestion of purchasing a large stake in the company rather than outright acquiring it. But I have to tell you, I think it seems like a good plan. Now, they, again, as I mentioned before, were not the only trade that were on this bandwagon. In fact, The Hollywood Reporter, which I would think I would take advice from more so than Variety, even though their numbers are good, I think I would be listening to them. Will Hollywood's streaming ambition lead to big gaming buys? Of course it will. And they talk specifically about, the video game sector and Disney, and reference May 2016 as the day that they bailed from the gaming market. The article goes on to talk specifically about large-scale players like Tencent and Sony, but to be honest with you, I think they arrived at the proper conclusion for Disney with Take-Two Interactive. I think that would also be a studio that Disney could benefit greatly from because they still are rather affordable and they control amazing IP such as Bully and GTA and Red Dead Redemption, all of which could also be turned into film properties as well. I don't know. Reading through these articles, I have to say there are a lot of direct tie-ins that could be taken advantage of by the Disney company in a lot of different ways. Plus, vertical integration is vastly superior to licensing out your to a third party your IPs for that quick cash. You always make more money doing it the right way, Bob. So consider undoing something that, Uncle Bob Iger did very abruptly and probably in the least thoughtful way. Where does that leave us? Well, it leaves me with agreeing with these two articles, which is strange. And I have to say, Disney's being absent from the gaming sphere and allowing for third parties to own valuable, or license, I should say, valuable properties like Star Wars is a real problem. They need to get back into it. At one point in time, LucasArts had their own gaming studio. and I really miss that, and I know a lot of you do too. So, what do you think? Do you think Disney should go about buying a gaming studio, getting back into the gaming market, going with a proven entity that actually can make games that aren't up and down like their own studios' games were for decades? I think they would be better off acquiring somebody. But what do you think? Do you think this is a good plan? I'm interested in your comments, so please utilize the comment section down below and give me your thoughts. Also, be sure to support other independent creators out there on the platform. They absolutely need your help. You have to, spend a little bit of time, please spend a little bit of time watching the people that you value and their content. Make sure you hit subscribe on great YouTubers. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you make comments and, of course, share their videos. And, I ask you to do that on my stuff as well, and I appreciate when you do. With that being said, we'll end the video the same way I always do. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. It really is. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.